We are back. We are back with a complete impromptu show because,
Do you think it's going to be problematic?
Yeah. It seemed like you're all frozen now. You might have to head back in. We were going to give you an outdoor shot in northern Minnesota with the trees. You can see that in the image there, but internet is just being a little fickle for Ben up there at the ranch there up in Bemidji, Minnesota. Yeah, we just don't have enough bandwidth to keep a consistent image going on there. So, all
right.
While we're getting things set up, gang, because we are live right now. While we're getting things set up, if you guys have got some questions, we're going to talk a little bit about what Ben's going to be doing next week at DJ Expo, and we'll also then answer some questions. Ben is so serious. No, he's frozen right now. It's called Internet Bandwidth Frozen. We've had that before. It happens. So we'll let him move into a different location. He'll be back with us. I think he's going to drop that connection and reset with his router and such. So, this is kind of an impromptu show. As long as we've got a couple of minutes here. Again, if you haven't heard about the contest going on, what we're going to be doing with the DJ and TV Go contest at DJ Expo. What that is going to be is a selfie contest. Basically, you're going to take a selfie with, and Ben has been, Ben is on the shows. Kat has been on the shows. Most of an LFX crew has been on the shows. You can go take pictures, a selfie with them. Twitter, Instagram, hashtag it DJNTVGO, DJNTVGo. Cutting Facebook stream. It's not on my end. It's on Ben's end. He went outside, and I think he got away from his bandwidth. My internet and my computer's got the horsepower to do it. We've been doing it for, goodness, the Facebook stream, we've been doing that for months. I think we started back in March. That's when we started doing the Facebook stream. So we will be back with Ben here in just a couple of seconds, and we'll get on with that. I thought I saw somebody had a question here. What? Ian, I'm gonna copy that question so when Ben comes back here, I can present that question to him. We've been working, for those who haven't had a chance to check it out, we've been working on our programming for fall. We're going to be doing a couple of different things. One of which is we're going to be adding, and I hate this, it makes my Monday nights really crazy. We're going to be adding an additional show. So we're going to be starting a little earlier this fall on Monday nights. We're going to be starting at 7 Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. We're going to have I'm going to just talk Central because that's obviously where I'm from. We're going to have a 7 o'clock Central, 7:30, 8:30 Central. We're going to have 4 half-hour interviews each week. And then at 9 o'clock, then we're going to go on with MJ, Dan, and Shani and myself to talk about the things in the week. The last show is going to be sticking to a half an hour, mainly because we have Dan is a school teacher, which many of you know, and we want to make sure that Dan can get up in the morning, so we don't want to keep him up too late. So that'll be our starting times this fall, starting at 7 o'clock Central, 7, 7:30, 8, 8:30, 9 o'clock, and we'll be done by 9:30 Central on Monday nights. Tuesday nights, it'll be Brian, Red, and myself, and we'll be sticking, I think, probably really close to the schedule we are right now, starting at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock Eastern. If we need to change that, that's something we'll get some feedback from you guys on. Otherwise, for Brian and I, that doesn't work too terribly bad. We're going to be adding a couple of shows. We're going to be adding a Wednesday night show, a regular Wednesday night show, and then we're going to be adding a couple of interview segments that are going to be added. That will, there we go, are going to be added from a couple of other hosts that are going to be joining us starting this fall. So, Ben, how's our connection?
Well, I think the connection's better. I've had to seek shelter in the basement, I guess, here. So
yeah, well, that's you're moving. Oh. You're moving, so yay, rah rah.
The way the weather's going, this is probably a good place to be anyway. So
yeah. For those who if you're not from Minnesota, you don't realize that we've got some pretty heavy stuff rolling through, and that's not bass you're hearing from in the background here. That's thunder. It's been rumbling since.
Put some Blair Witch lighting on this area.
Nice. So next week, Ben, we're going to be in Atlantic
That's the guy
City.
you want to buy lights from? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Scare me, man. You're scaring me. So what, kind of give us a little information. What are you going to be doing next week in AC?
I am going to put my butt in the sand and my toes in the water in the Atlantic.
Nice.
Yeah. I
And
was
if
going to
you,
give you a lake shot here so you can see I'm leaving behind freshwater for saltwater, you know?
yeah, no, that'd be a tough shot.
This is just terrible lighting. I'm sorry. I feel bad.
I don't know. It's you're looking much better than you were before when all we saw was this intense look on your face. Yeah, wedding's headed that way.
This is live TV with somebody who's not on TV. So
oh, exactly. This is just kind of an impromptu thing that Ben had a few minutes, and we were I wanted to chat about what he's going to be doing next week. If you guys had some questions and such, and just kind of hang out for a little while with you guys, because we can do that. That's the magic of the internet.
I think we lost them all as soon as I did the flashlight thing.
Yeah, no, they're coming back. They were afraid. Now they're better now.
Right.
They're better now.
It's okay. It's just me, people. Honest.
He won't bite. He might chew, but he won't bite. Let's see. I want to go here. So, we're in Atlantic City. You're going to be in the exhibit hall. What kind of things are you guys going to be doing for us this year in the exhibit hall?
You know, I'll tell you what. I don't want to give you a terrible answer, but I'm afraid it's going to be basically starting Monday. I'm gone for the next 60 days, and I am Zooming all over the country. And my duties will range from sidelines at college football games to tours, musical tours, to helping out at an install. I literally have not really a clue what we're doing at DJ Expo. And I think that's a testament to our great marketing team where
Right.
I'm going to show up and Kat's going to say, here's where you go and here's what you do. And that's what I will do. I believe, you know, and I know there's people out there who are probably undoubtedly saying, how in the world can this guy have no idea what his company's doing? And I think that's a reasonable question, but I think there's a reasonable answer that we have a fantastic staff. I love when people message me on Facebook and say, yeah, I'm asking about the special. And I'm like, what special? That one that somebody in marketing posted. I got you.
Yeah, well, you got to talk to Graham, or you got to go talk to Kat, somebody else.
Absolutely. You know, and I love helping out, and I love that I get to work in these diverse areas, but I also love that we have such, you know, dedicated people in our company that are so dedicated to the industry that, and they're so competent and qualified that you know, these cogs are rolling without me.
Yeah.
So I believe that we are representing Eliminator Lighting, which of course is part of the ADJ group.
Mm-hmm.
And we're representing Fure and Voice Audio, and I'm going to be there just having a good time, hanging out with friends. I've got at least 1 or 2 dates for funnel cakes. So, and you know who you are, and you're gonna show
up. Somebody's gonna buy you a funnel cake. I'll let sugar, man. It'll go right to you.
I'm treating. I'll buy.
Oh wow. Wow.
Yeah, you should take advantage of my generosity, John.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy. Crazy getting funnel cakes. Now, when you order funnel cakes, do you order a special funnel cake, or is there the Ben Stowe funnel cake? It has to be done a certain way.
You know, I've never really met a funnel cake I didn't like. Being from the Midwest, you know, I think I lived a pretty sheltered life. I thought funnel cakes basically only came with powdered sugar. So my first trip to Atlantic City was really an eye opener. I'm like, oh my gosh, you can get anything on these things. I probably, you know, was just nearly in a sugar induced coma after eating 6 or 7 of them. But you know, you can get pineapple or, you know, strawberries or whatever. So I don't know. I'm traditional. I like the powdered sugar. And I also like the cinnamon stuff. So, but whatever.
So you're going to be traveling then after Expo. You were talking about some road tours now. Where's that going to take you around the country?
If memory serves, right after Expo, I've got Johnny Lang, Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, and I forget the other one. And then I've got Gabriel Iglesias in Illinois. I've got Steve Miller Band in Illinois. and then I head down to Iowa City to work sidelines at a University of Iowa game, and then I head back and catch our truck as it's coming south to Dallas for a tour. Ride the truck down to Dallas, then we head out with the band from Dallas. I think our first show is in Louisiana, and then that tour we kind of snake our way through the U.S. Our last show is in Brooklyn, and I think we hit Ohio and Illinois and Massachusetts and whatnot in the middle. And then I fly out from that and I catch up with Dwight Yoakam. Then I think I zoom to Nashville for a day. Then I've got a speaking engagement. Then I've got Rodney Adkins. And then I've got Kevin Gates in Illinois, and then Alice Cooper. And then, of course, the Sound Symposium is the 10th. So that's 8th, 9th, 10th there. No, I think I was mistaken about Rodney Atkins. I think he's in September. I really don't remember.
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah. You've got a lot of things going on. Wow.
Yeah, and then we're at the Sound Symposium, and after that, whatever. So,
yeah,
although exactly. I got to say, after that is kind of cool. I get to put together the fall camporee for our local council for Boy Scouts, and it's going to be, of course, Star Wars and Star Trek themed. So,
Nice. Let's talk about the Sound Symposium. We haven't talked much about that so far this year because it's been being put together, but now I think we're getting to the point now where we've got some of the things they're kind of set in stone now. So kind of give us an update on, well, maybe for those who aren't familiar with why the Sound Symposium came about. Let's start from that.
It's actually was sort of the brainchild, I think, of one of your other regular contributors and a good friend of mine, Jeremy Breck. And Jer sort of, we just got been talking about what my schedule is like over the last 2 months. And Jer said, I know a lot about audio, but I would love to know more. I'd love to be as busy as somebody like you. And really, that's probably the best selling point you can make for something like the symposium is there's so much more opportunity out there in the industry. But, when somebody puts you on a plane to go somewhere, it's because you're the guy who's going to get it done. And, there's not a lot of opportunity for, phone a friend or, whatever. Certainly I do, but that's not the rule. That's the exception.
Right.
So, Jeremy said, gosh, I just, for my own self, I wish I knew more. I wish I could make my sound better at gigs. I wish I could do more, corporate AV. I wish I could branch out into more live production and that sort of thing and just open up those potential revenue streams. And, obviously you were a big part of the process of deciding what content should be in and the folks at Electrovoice and myself. And so that's what the symposium is. It's designed to give people a pretty awesome, and I do mean awesome, audio toolkit. Leave people with ready-to-wear skills and more importantly, a new mindset on how they can use their sound equipment to not only attract higher-end clients for what they're already doing, but also attract new revenue streams in different markets.
Which I think is so critical, especially for those of us in the upper Midwest where wedding season is here and you get a couple of school dances, but there's a lot of times that there's the opportunity for doing sound reinforcement for meetings and things is there, especially during the week.
No doubt. I live in Bemidji, Minnesota. Look it up on a map, and I'm going to be doing sound in New York City. And if you look at the two cities side by side, you might think, wow, how does that happen? But of course, it's just one of the many major markets that I work in all the time. And I've worked overseas and I'm just one of thousands of qualified and competent technicians. But all of us share, I think, one thing in common. And that's that we are constantly looking for opportunities to learn. We are constantly looking for that edge just to be just a little bit better. And, it's funny. I was just talking to a guy, a friend of mine, not an hour ago, John, and he was saying, when it comes to sound, I'm an idiot. And I said, no, you're not an idiot. He's actually very smart. And guys like him and guys like me might call ourselves idiots because we know what we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an old saying that a really smart person is constantly questioning themselves, where a really dumb person is always sure of themselves. So I guess I'm saying if you don't think you need this training, then you're probably dumb. So
I'm just copying the link here so I can put that in the description below.
Sure. And
So,
I'll tell you what, I'm not the guy presenting for 2 days there. I'm going to be presenting a few topics, but listen, folks, listen very carefully to this. The people that will be presenting are people that I call when I'm in a jam. These are really, really smart people. If you want to learn from some of the smartest audio people in the world, this is the place to be. And that is no baloney.
yeah. Yeah, I was going through and looking at who is scheduled to be speaking. And you've got some really people who have a very impressive resume that are going to be there and presenting.
Yeah, no question. Electrovoice, obviously being the second largest pro audio company in the world, has some great engineers, and I can tell you that these engineers are headhunted all the time. You know that their phone is ringing all the time for people trying to steal them away from Electrovoice. So, listen, take advantage of that. Take advantage of those 2 days in a really impressive audio engineering facility with people who will tell you things you didn't know about things you didn't know existed.
Yeah.
And I don't care, if you're a touring engineer, you're going to learn something, and if you're not, you're going to learn a lot. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to listen to these friends of mine talk. I know that I'm going to gain something out of this as well. And I think my resume is pretty well established at this point, but I am so excited to actually just be in there for the times that I'm not presenting, because I know I'm going to come away to something too.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Just an incredible.
Plus, there's evening activities. And if you don't know how Mike Dussault parties, you just don't know how to party. So, he's going to put together something great. We're going to go out and do something fun. I don't know if it'll be at First Avenue or Pantages Theater or something, but you know what? We're going to put our hands on some really big rigs, and we're going to have a good time doing it.
Yeah, he has put together some really cool outings that he's done with the Lighting Symposium.
No doubt.
And now he's got his passion. Sound.
Yeah, he doesn't even care about lighting. So believe me, if you thought what we got was cool, what do you see what he does for the audio guys?
Yeah, it will be something. It will definitely be something. Yeah. Just getting the links and such. So I think we've got the links in both spots that they can check that out. We did have a question here. Oh, where did that go? Where did I put that?
Why does Ben look like Blair Witch?
No. Shoot, Ian, I lost your. Did I? Maybe I still have it. No, I had copied it and I didn't. Oh, wait a second. Yes, there it is. I have an LFX cable tester and my 3-pin female XLR input acts as if the cable has a fault, but it's really loose and not the wire. How do I close the gap? I wonder what gap he's talking about.
Could be a faulty connector in the tester. The simplest thing, if you're in the US, just send it to us and I'll fix it for you. No problem.
Yeah, probably one of those things that'd be easiest.
It's probably, honestly, it's just an XLR connector, and occasionally those connectors wear out. But we certainly don't want you to have something with our name on it that's not working well. So just touch base with us and let's get that squared up.
Yeah, every cable has a fault, so it must be just needing a little love there.
Or all of your cables are garbage.
That's right. And it just so happens we've got a sale on cables today. Send money and we will send them to you.
Just reach out to us. We'll take care of it for you.
Good stuff. If you guys have any other questions and such, put those in the chat here on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, I don't have that up, but I can see you on Facebook. Ben, what did this summer? You've been running around doing a lot of different things. You did some sound for some outdoor events this summer.
I did.
What's the major difference? And I know we talked in one show about having your plan and your plan of preparation, but beyond the weather, the hurricane that almost hit you guys and such, what other kind of difficulties do you have being outdoors compared to being indoors when you're doing live sound?
You need a lot more firepower. I mean, there's nothing to reflect sound off of. It's nice that we were getting reports that people could hear the music fairly clear from town, which was 5 miles away. But it's indicative of the fact that sound is just traveling and not reflecting off anything. And so, the acoustics change, the properties of how you would mix change, and you just need a lot more firepower to cover that area. Plus, outdoor areas can get deceptively large. A gymnasium is fairly small. It's 50 by 84, I think, size. And obviously we know hockey arenas are 85 by 200 or 100 by 200, depending on if it's Olympic or pro. So when we work in arenas, those are fairly confined places, and then you've got run and rise of bleachers. But outdoors, I mean, people can be gosh, those distances can just run away from you in a hurry. And of course, our old friend, the inverse square law, dictates what happens to audio from point source devices. And, we know what happens with air loss and that sort of thing. So just more firepower.
Now, would you need more firepower in your low end or in your high, mids and highs in your array, or both?
Really both. You really need both. Low end is one place that's vulnerable. Of course, is high frequency is a little bit more directionalized. There we're maybe more concerned with air loss, but with low frequency we have less opportunities to couple and that sort of thing, boundary load. But it's still really both. You just bulking up everything.
What about humidity? I was thinking about this the other day as I'm walking outside, and it's just so incredibly humid out there. What do you need to do anything different if it's going to be humid weather compared to if it's more of a dry environment?
That's a complicated question. I would say,
I got the. It depends.
Yeah, nicely. You sort of keep an eye on it, but to some degree, there isn't much you can do about it. I mean, I've seen a lot of outdoor shows where consoles get rained on, and you're seeing these, $60,000-$70,000 consoles, and they're tipping them up and draining water out of them, and you're just kind of hoping for the best.
Oh.
Humidity, can certainly be a problem, especially if components don't dry out thoroughly when they're in storage. If you're closing up trunks and that humidity stays in there, then you can have, corrosive things happening. And just saw a wireless mic a guy brought into service today that was badly corroded. So, yeah, I mean, it's something you got to be aware of, but, there isn't a whole lot that you can do about it if the air is humid,
But does humidity affect the way the sound travels through the air?
Absolutely.
And I've had that as I've done shows. It's like when I'm outside doing a under a tent event and it's a very dry kind of still country night. It seems like the sound goes forever, and then there's a night where the air is heavy, and it's like I just imagine I wouldn't think it would travel the same.
It actually travels further and faster.
Seriously.
Yeah, sound actually travels much further through water. There's stories of whales communicating thousands of miles away. Now, I don't really know how the scientists figured it out. I don't know. They ask them, who are you talking to? Oh, this whale 1,000 miles away.
Yeah, it's up there.
I guess somebody smarter than me figured that out. But yeah, in fact, I've seen these arguments played out. Here's another plug for the Sound Symposium. Some of the conversations I see on the Facebook groups and whatever are they're just painful. You just look and you're like, I don't even want to comment on this because the degree of misinformation is the train has left the station so far. And, one of the things that I frequently see is people who argue that the speed of sound is fixed, or that humidity and temperature don't affect it, but they do. Both humidity and temperature affect the speed of sound. And so anyway, in a more humid environment, sound will actually travel further and faster.
Really?
Because it's got more of a medium to travel through.
I guess that would make sense.
We had a really riveting conversation one day on the effect of gravity on sound, and what we came. Yeah,
who defined the riveting part of it?
That'd be me. This is what we do for fun around NLFX on a slow day, and it was Black Friday, and everybody was trying to get $10 TVs somewhere else. So I don't know. Anyway, we determined that while gravity has no direct impact on sound requires a medium to travel through, like air or water or steel or whatever. And therefore, since gravity is essential in holding an atmosphere and that sort of thing, that there is a direct but relational effect of gravity on sound.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we also discussed whether or not there could be sound on the moon. See, now, of course, we know there's no atmosphere, but there is an atmosphere inside the astronauts' helmets. There's air in there. Obviously, they got air. They got little speakers and microphones in their helmets, so the sound travels in the helmet. And also, the surface of the moon is largely rock, and it's covered with, this thing they call regolith. That's the kind of dusty, rocky surface. And anyway, those are all solid materials. So we reasoned that you probably could propagate sound through them to an astronaut somehow. So
I think we talked about that in one of our shows.
None of this will be covered in the Sound Symposium, by the way. You don't have to hear about astronauts or whales or any of that. So but we could talk about it if you want.
Yeah, about 30 years ago, Anthony, he asked about a physics class.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And truthfully, my role in this in these shows isn't to be the one with the answers. I'm the one with the questions.
Well, and you do a good job. You do a good job of keeping me on track and trying to make me publicly palatable, I think.
Let's see. I'm trying to go with some of the questions we've had and things that we can handle in a in our without a lot of prep. Because usually, gang, what we do is we share our topic for the night, and then Ben goes and does some gathering of props. Now, I'm not going to say that he's going and doing studying, because he's got this information in a weird kind of a savant nature in his head.
I'm in my basement right now, for crying out loud. I mean, we're talking about whales and regolith, and I got nothing but,
Yeah, and he will go through and just knows this stuff completely. We talked a little bit about when you were talking about the sound and such, and you're talking outdoor, and you mentioned that the bass, of course, it's tough to deal with. Does the directional, when we're using the cardioid type settings with subwoofers, or that concept with subwoofers, does it work better indoors or outdoors, or does it matter?
Well, it doesn't really matter, but I think certainly outdoors is a strong argument for it because, as we know, our high frequency is directionalized, but our low frequency is largely spherical. So everybody backstage and everybody who lives backstage, houses, even as we talked miles away, could be affected by that low frequency energy. So why not just, as I always say, point the loud part towards the people, put that low frequency out towards your audience and not backwards. So I think there's a really strong argument for using cardioid outside. Indoors, equally, there can be a good argument, keeping that low frequency energy away from areas you don't want it. The only real gotcha there is that if you have a cardioid stack and you put it up against a brick wall, it won't work. It doesn't work like that. You need to have airspace behind the array in order for it to, the cardioid array, in order for it to work properly.
Airspace, giving us an idea of what that airspace is. Are we talking 6 feet, 4 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet?
Let's say 8 feet. We get into, obviously, sound travels in waves, and the lower the frequency, the longer the wavelength, and we're obviously talking about low frequency wavelengths, so we're talking about some long wavelengths here. So without doing the math, I'm just going to shoot from the hip and say, I'd say 8 feet is a pretty good place to start.
Cool. This past weekend, I actually was going to do a little bit of wireless, running a remote speaker via a wireless signal, and I was using a company sent out a 2.4 gigahertz audio transmitting device, and I'm not going to mention the company name
because it didn't work, right?
It didn't work.
Well, it's fine.
It did when we did the early things, when we did the tests and such, when the room was empty. We had a good signal. It traveled about 80 feet. And it sounded wonderful. When it came time, it did not. We were getting static, and it sounded horrible. The difference was, one of them was the day before at 1 p.m. So it was Friday about 1, and then the next Saturday about 5 o'clock. What could have happened to me with that 2.4 gigahertz system?
Well, the whole world is running something in 2.4. We're doing this video chat over 2.4. So environmental is the easy and obvious one. Literally today I had a conversation with a wireless microphone manufacturer who I cannot name, but it was really kind of a pseudo engineering discussion. And they were lamenting the fact that 2.4 has really not been the end all save all they thought it would be. And, they said, well, who knew? And without trying to sound arrogant, I said, well, I did, and I'm not alone. But part of that is because working in the sports intercom world, working with sideline communications, we saw problems years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Telex introduced the 2.4 gigahertz system, and so did another company, and they worked well for a little bit. And then as soon as more 2.4 gigahertz devices started to roll out, stadium Wi-Fi, and I think the real cap on this was, I believe, 2 years ago. I was at the, of course, I've worked the last 5 national championship games, and 2 years ago they rolled out this new thing called pylon cam, high definition cameras inside the goal pylons in the end zone.
Sure.
And a couple of days before the game, I'm walking around in the stadium and doing my thing, and one of the guys, and of course I work a lot with the press. as well to coordinate their frequencies for wireless IFBs and a sideline reporter and that sort of thing. And we were talking about these sideline cams. And they said, yeah, aren't these great? Look at this. We're going to get some great angles, from the pylon. I mean, imagine that, I said, okay, wait a minute. So now each of these pylons, there's 4 of these cameras in these pylons. So we get a goal line shot, we get an end zone shot, I said, these are high definition cameras and they all operate on 2.4 gigahertz wireless. Yeah, that's right. And I said, so there's 8 of these total in the stadium. Yeah, that's right. I said, how much bandwidth does it take to send 8 high definition video signals, over 2.4 gigahertz? And sure enough, you add a little stadium Wi-Fi and, maybe some of the, concession stand micro stations and all these sorts of things. And wouldn't you know it, one of the teams that was playing that day was using a coaching headset system that was 2.4 gigahertz, and the system crashed. They were literally running wires. We went back to 1980 for them to run wires between their packs. And, I'm not going to say who it was or where it was or what the teams were, but if anybody just loves doing this thing, Google it. You'll see pictures of coaches carrying around cable like it's 1980s again, because the modern 2.4 system completely crashed.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're talking about like probably a $60,000-$70,000 system, So it's not that it was a cheap system. It's just that when you run out of bandwidth, you're done. You're out of bandwidth, and undoubtedly that's what happened to you, is that there was just sufficient other things in the neighborhood to to create that interference. Now, as Wi-Fi, we'll make real quick here. I'll just say with Wi-Fi routers, they've gotten better. 802.11ac, newer standards from 802.11b, 802.11n, and we're finding ways to occupy that space better, be better neighbors inside that space, but I'm still not a fan.
Interesting.
And I doubt I'll become one. I doubt that I'll be convinced that that's our life raft. We know UHF is getting smaller. We know that, they're taking it because it works.
Yeah.
That's why other people with more money want it. It works. But I don't think 2.4 is our end all save all either.
Interesting. So I was just kind of doomed for failure.
Well, history might prove me wrong. I mean, you don't know what we're going to advance.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's not magic. It's just radio waves, and there's a certain amount of spectrum available. And I'm just not thoroughly convinced. It'll be fine for applications where you're running single channel, dual channel, a DJ or something small, where you're not in a event space that's got a lot going on. But certainly it's not the answer for lots of wireless, like coaching intercom, maybe, or tour shows or Broadway, where you have lots and lots of channels of wireless. And I'm not even convinced it's the answer for DJs either. I know a lot of people are using, systems like the System 10, and they're loving it, and they're, saying it's working great. And that's awesome. I have no problem with that. Just saying, on a macro scale, it's not my go-to.
So what would your go-to be? And we've discussed this, and Matt just asked that question, basically. What do the wireless microphones that we should be looking at, what are they doing, or what are they running?
It's getting harder, obviously, as there's some degree of uncertainty, but I still feel very comfortable with anything from 470 to 550. I feel very comfortable in there. We know that Chairman Wheeler of the FCC is looking very hard at how to accommodate wireless microphones in the future. As he said, they're a ubiquitous part of our world today. So, we may still be quite comfortable even in the 560 to 600. We don't know yet, but certainly around TV 37 in some of those places, maybe some guard bands or something, that we can jump in, as well. And now just to be clear what I just said, we can't be in 37 though. Okay. Just around that anyway.
Mm-hmm. And devices that will utilize those frequencies, are they very common that most manufacturers have units that utilize that?
All this stuff is on the market today. And, it's funny that while we're looking for this new solution, it's really always been in front of us, that there's systems available from all the wireless manufacturers operating, in that, or almost all rather, from in that 470 to, 560 range. Shameless plug, but, obviously if you're talking to somebody at NLFX, we've got our eye on the ball, and, we're looking at your zip code, and we're looking at what the future of the wireless landscape is likely to be. And we're trying to help you make an educated decision. So that's certainly a service we're providing, and you're not paying a penny more for it than you would anywhere else, maybe even a little less. So,
got a couple more questions. What kind of a wireless system would you suggest for an active physical education teacher for sound quality and the ability to move around? And of course, a microphone that would be durable.
I'd take an ear set and then just gaff tape it around your head.
Nice. Would you use the 2-inch gaff tape or would you use the 4-inch gaff tape?
Well, it depends on who the physical education teacher is. One of my best friends is a guy by the name of Beef, and he's a PE teacher, and that's all you need to know. His name is Beef. All right.
That would be 4-inch gaff tape.
Yes.
But there's numerous companies that have belt packs and such. Probably in that situation, the part that would almost need to be is the headset itself. That would need to be the most durable part.
Real good ones. Sure actually has some ones that are designed specifically for aerobics. Here again, if you're a person who sweats a lot, just try to let that thing dry out completely. Don't shove it in the box and lock it up at the end of the night. That'll certainly shorten the life of that, as again, those corrosive properties. But yeah, I would say a body pack with a good headset, with a good elastic, something that's going to be comfortable for you and allow good range of motion. I can, if you want to message me, I can send you some options.
Yeah, that might be the best way. DJ Trevor, I can't tell what they. But anyway, message Ben. Facebook, you can find him Ben Stowe on Facebook, and he can give you some data. Matt was asking, what's better, VHF or UHF?
Well, it depends.
I didn't expect it there. I thought this was a cut and dried one.
No, not really. There's a lot of argument for VHF because there's not a lot happening in VHF. There's still some broadcast TV, down there, but by and large, most of the good quality frequency agile systems on the market today are UHF. Mm-hmm. So it's not that one frequency is better than the other. It's just that the better choices exist in UHF. But that's something, again, as we look at where do we go when UHF gets smaller, there's a brand new intercom system that came on the market. And worked with the guy that developed it, and kind of curious to see how it pans out for him. But it is a hybrid VHF UHF system. So I think it transmits on VHF and receives on UHF or vice versa. But anyway, that allows you to have these two frequencies, one sending, one receiving simultaneously, but obviously many megahertz apart.
Would there be any kind of the speed in which the signal are traveling between those two frequency, the UHF and VHF, do they go at the same speed, or is there a difference because of them being at different levels within the spectrum?
Yeah. Radio waves travel at the speed of light, and here you go. For those who think I Google this stuff, I don't. Speed of light's 186,000 miles per second, or 300 million meters a second.
And you did measure that, correct?
Huh?
You did measure that, correct? Yeah.
Good. Absolutely. Yeah. I flipped off a light switch and saw how fast it was.
Yep, exactly. He had his tape measure out there. You flipped it off. Yeah. So basically, they're traveling at the same speed. It doesn't matter which frequency. It's because they're sound waves.
Correct. Obviously UHF stands for ultra high frequency. VHF stands for very high frequency. So UHF is higher frequencies and thus shorter wavelengths. Maybe we can modulate a little more information on there. But anyway, I think we may see some more, VHF solutions as well. Although, honestly, what we're left with, even if it's 470 to 560, is still a lot of bandwidth, and we can make a lot of things happen. The wireless microphone manufacturers are getting better at making these systems, able to operate in that space with less things like intermodulation and that sort of thing. Certainly digital on UHF is a fantastic thing. People often think that if it's digital, it must be 2.4, and that's just simply not true at all. We can have digital signals operating on UHF, and I think that's probably the future of wireless, in fact.
Interesting. See, and I've got all these things I learn when we get together.
Thanks, John. Join me for a funnel cake. We'll talk about all kinds of.
Yeah, we wouldn't talk. Although we're going to try, if things work out, Tuesday night we want to be down and we want to broadcast live from the boardwalk.
You'll find me on the beach
with his butt in the sand and toes in the water. Yeah, I saw that.
Did you see my tan? No.
Yeah.
This is tan. I've been biking to work almost every day. This is tan.
That's as tan as you get in that northern Minnesota.
I'm Irish. Our people burn.
Anthony asked something about the Sennheiser 8000 series.
Anthony? Are you buying one?
What is that? Like a higher end one?
Yes. the 9000 and whatnot are touring grade systems, and they're wonderful. They're awesome systems, but
But
I think
price,
maybe yeah. I mean, we had a great conversation about Digico boards the other day too, but I don't. I've yet to have a DJ buy a Digico board from me.
yeah. Well, and I think,
I'm willing. I'm open.
oh, for sure, yeah. If somebody wants to drop the money and such, we actually had that conversation with Rain, the Rain mixers compared to DJ controllers. That the Rain, were just a higher price point, but they were at such a higher quality than most of the DJ controllers that we can buy now, especially the kind of the mid to lower entry level ones.
Well, I mean, Digico just released the S21 last year, and that was meant to be their cheap board. And for the Surface, you're coming in somewhere around $6-7 grand.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't sound cheap, I own a couple Digico boards, and they were each in the neighborhood of 30 grand. So believe me, in Digico's mind, that was cheap. Because my boards are not that big. Taylor Swift uses SD7s. I think those come in at something around 140,000, and she has 3 of them on her tour. So, in fact, SD7s were used at the Olympic ceremonies as well. SD5 is even more. I mean, you can buy a Digico desk that's 300 grand if memory serves. So, believe me, when we talk about, boards like, the SI Impact or the X32 being ultra cheap, heck, they're darn near free. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, you got a board with 40 inputs I don't know how many output buses, 20 or so, and motorized faders for $2 grand. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's like, my gosh, that's virtually free. And me, John. I started as a kid in a homeless shelter, making lights out of coffee cans. Money doesn't grow on trees, but I'm just setting it in perspective.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, hey, but it's the quality of the tools, and you're needing to have that quality of tool when you're doing a Taylor Swift concert. You can't be using something that's a budget board. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely, the people I'm working for, I'm just not willing to risk it. They pay me well enough, and I use a good board, and no disrespect to the guys that are out doing a live sound gig for $500 or $1,000. I mean, there's a market for that, and it's good that there's somebody to fill it, but it isn't me,
Yeah.
And there's a place for everybody in the world. And, and I think this comes back to Anthony's microphone question. I mean, are you buying one? Because otherwise, I mean, yeah, it's like we're on a Ford Chevy show and somebody says, well, tell me about the Bugatti, well, it's pretty awesome. What do you want to know? You taking one for a spin,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very, very true. Yeah. Our market is a little bit different than a lot of those.
I don't know what I would do if a DJ said, I want to buy, a Sennheiser 9000. I don't know what I would probably, I don't know that I would be willing to accept their money. I mean, I might say, did you just win the lottery? I mean, look, if you literally just have millions of dollars that you can't spend fast enough, I guess, well, go for it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. But, I think most people are trying to run a business and they want to make a profit, and they need to make a good, solid meat and potatoes investment. And I'd say, listen, spend $500 or $1,000 on a good wireless and have something solid and reliable. But do you need to spend $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 on a wireless? Probably not,
Yeah, in the right situation, yes, but most of us aren't in it.
I'm just not a good salesman.
Not the high end stuff. Not of it. Hey Ben,
well, I sell it to the right people.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
I don't know. I guess I sleep better at night because I try to help people make the right choice for them. I want people to, listen, a lot of these guys and gals out there, they got families, and
Mm-hmm.
By the way, shout out to my friend Joe, brand new father, baby girl, beautiful. Good job.
He only did this much.
It's true. Well,
it was only he did this much in the equation, and then she had to do the rest of it.
I'll tell you what, I know, because obviously I've got 3 beautiful kids of my own, and my wife definitely, no pun intended, carried the load. But listen, Joe's been so excited for this baby, and he's been waiting for this little girl, like he said, his whole life, but certainly for 9 months. I think he's paid his dues waiting for this baby.
Nice.
And at the end of the day, isn't that what it's all about? I mean, it's why we're out there doing the gigs. We're trying to feed our families, and so I want to help people make responsible decisions that allow them to, be responsible to their households and their communities as well.
Yeah. Cool. Ben, we've been on for 45 minutes. We need to let you go so you can go spend some time together with the family
Speaking
tonight.
of families, right?
Yeah, exactly. We need to go on in because my crew is their pool ruptured today and blasted out the side. I don't know if you follow Lori's Facebook page, but she's got a great picture of the water gushing out the side of the pool. It's like, oh my gosh.
I'll go check it out. I didn't get a chance today. I've been running pretty ragged getting ready for these next 2 months.
Yeah, so that's why we'll wrap it up here. Ben, thank you much for jumping on tonight, gang. Hopefully you guys liked our show tonight. If you do, go give it a thumbs up. That's really kind of important to see what kind of feedback and such you guys can give us with these things. And we'll be at Expo Tuesday night. If I can pull you away from the sand, we'll be able to have a little time to talk live again.
Why not just film in the sand?
See, I hate getting sand in my short. Oh, maybe I'm.
All right, fine. I'll go up to the boardwalk. Anybody else who wants to join me for a funnel cake or a cup of coffee or something, just shoot me a message, and I'll certainly try to be available as much as I can. I look forward to seeing all of my friends out there, and that's really the thing I'm most excited about.
Yeah, for sure. So that's what it's always kind of fun for the family reunion. So enjoy those times. Once again, Ben, thank you much, gang. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next week, coming live from DJ Expo. Good night, everyone.